Hello again YouTube, Mad Dog here, welcome back to my channel. So this video going to be a bit of a a collage, you might say, of little snippets put together. Basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm just making one of my small flint and steel fire kits. Just a very small kit, this one, to include a bit of a leather pouch, which all this stuff, I don't know if this is picking up, all these offcuts of leather. I've got bags of this stuff kicking about in various forms. Excuse me. So what I'm going to be doing, making a small pouch with a press stud fastener, and inside of which I'm going to be putting one of my small steel strikers, basically a high carbon steel old fashioned file that have broken, ground and reshaped, you might say, because they do work, they're effective, so why not, you know. A few pieces of flint chert and some of my charred material, and basically I'm going to send that little kit out to Plymouth ferns, just to say thank you, mate, for your recent support. I appreciate it, brother. So stay with me and let's get stuck in. Yeah. So just to let you all know, as you can probably see, I'm not very good at leathercraft, but to be honest, I do minimal measuring, very rarely I mark anything out, and the reason being, it's meant to be for a bushcraft kit. You know, I want it to have that rustic, not perfectly symmetrical, not perfectly finished feel and look about it. It's handmade, it's a one-off, no two will ever be the same. So for me, by not making it absolutely perfect, gives it a bit of character. You know, it's a little bit of individuality, and for me personally, it's a little bit of, you might say, it gives it a little bit of warmth. You know, it's personal. It becomes a personal item. So anyway, let me crack on. Some of the waxed leather cordage, cut a piece of that off, and leather needle, bit bent, bit used and abused, but gets the job done. So we'll start sewing this bad boy up now. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch this thing up. I'm doing it single run down, single run back. Now I know that with leather you're meant to use 2 needles and pass them through each other. So yes, if I'm going to use some heavy gauge leather for something like a knife sheath, an axe mask, something like that, or something that's going to need to be taken a bit of a pounding, then yeah, I absolutely would do that. But this is a pocket kit, you know, it doesn't really need to be overkill, and it is only thin grade leather. It's soft and supple. I didn't want something that's too, you know, too obnoxious where it's not going to be comfortable in your pocket, you might say. So I'm not making it too industrialised, too heavy duty. Just enough to do the job basically. What more could you ask of your kit than to do the job, you know? I want something that's comfortable as well, so you know, it's not just about aesthetics, it's about it being functional as well. So that's the first pass. So what I do now is come back on myself through the same holes that I've made with the little punch set earlier and start to tie that all together. Like I say, I'm no seamstress, I'm no leather worker, so for you guys and lasses out there that are professional tanners, etc., please forgive my amateurish skill level, but it gets the job done. You know, it's, as I always say, something is always better than nothing. So anyway, I'm not going to bore you all to death with hours of me stitching, because we've got the rest of the kit to crack on with. So I'll cut back when this bit's done. Yeah. Okay, now for the press stud. So I've roughly marked out the centre. I'm just going to use a hole punch to remove the piece of leather, and I'm going to use one of these. It's like a dark chrome for the fastener. So let's go with that on there. That goes on there. And somewhere in here I have a tool that should allow me to fasten down that rivet inside. Crikey me, I really need to do some house maintenance here. I should have got it. So that's the press stud on the first half. This is progress so far. As you can see, I need to trim the edges and everything up yet, but we're taking shape slowly. So now the adjacent piece of that, I've already marked the centre line out with my pencil. A piece of wood inside, obviously, so you don't go through both layers of leather. Easy mistake to do. And again, we're just going to punch that piece of leather out. Like I say, all my stuff dead simple, nothing flash or fancy. For me, there's no other way. So I want that obviously on the outside. Poke that through. These are like basically the press stud fasteners they're like rivets basically. So we'll get that on there, and I need to put this socket with the opposite indentation in the back of that rivet. This is where it gets a little bit fiddly sometimes. If I can. And then the rivet tool itself. Okay. Alrighty. Just needs to go a little bit deeper. Should have it. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, so a bit off centre, but you know, gets the job done. So we have our press stud fastener. Like I say, nothing's marked out, and it will be wonky, it will be a little bit off centre, but you know, at least you know it's a one-off. So that's the basis of the pouch. I'm going to clean the edges up, score it with the bradawl on the side there, and let's start making a striker. Yeah. Okay, for the striker I'm going to be using a very old high carbon steel file. You know, you can get these from your local flea markets, junk sales, that sort of thing. I do recommend buying as old as you can get, because generally the older the tool, the better quality, and it will be a higher carbon steel. So for this, I'm not going to, obviously I'm limited for room, and I don't want to be making too much of a fire hazard in the shed, because I have all the stuff everywhere, as you can see. So because it's high carbon steel and it's hard, it's going to be brittle. So basically what I do is roughly gauge how much of that material I want to make my striker. Just guesstimate to start with, because I'm going to clean it up with a grinder with a flat wheel. So that's just, I don't want a massive piece of steel. And then what I do is piece of cloth, old t-shirt or something, over the top of that. Don the safety glasses, belt it, snap it off. The piece of cloth, it just stops the thing from flying out everywhere. It's in there somewhere, I'm sure. There we go. Bear with me, excuse me. So the piece of cloth stops the piece of file flying off, and gives it a relatively clean break. I'm going to dress that up now with the grinder, and basically I'm going to square the ends off, and where the original file piece had a file along one side and a flat along the other, I'm going to grind that absolutely 90 degrees, so it's a real nice sharp edge on both sides. And the actual file teeth, I'm going to smooth that down somewhat. I'm going to leave some witness marks of where it was originally a file, because it gives it a nice grip, a nice bit of dexterity, but I don't want it that sharp where it is still a file and it's going to basically wear away the leather pouch or anything that you may choose to put it in. So let's crack on with that. So slowly, you get the idea. So I'm going to do the same on the sides. Like I say, I'm aware that this is going to be a long ass video, so I'm not going to bore you all to death with too much of every step of the way. Part of the process does take a while, to be fair. You don't want to do it too quickly to the point where you're going to turn the material blue. if you do that, you're altering the temper of the steel, so try and keep it relatively cool. Like I say, I'm going to grind the surfaces, the back edge, etc. until I'm happy with the end striker, and then it's on to me flint nodule, excuse me. So yeah, then I'm going to be getting a piece of flint, breaking that open into usable pieces, but small enough that it's accommodating into the kit, and then adding some charred material in a Ziploc bag and a small piece of leather onto which you can catch an ember, do any additional flint napping or anything like that that you may choose to do. It's a useful bit of kit to have, even if it's just like once you've got your fire established, you can then take that piece of leather, additional leather, and grip your canteen, your cup, whatever you may be using around the campfire, just to stop yourself from burning your fingers. So useful little bit of kit to have is just a piece of leather, top little tip. So anyway, I'm going to crack on with that now and bring you back when this is done, and we'll take it from there. Stay with me. Yeah. Okay, hopefully as you can see now, everything's starting to take shape. So the leather pouch, that's pretty much there. You know, it's never going to be pretty, but it is functional and it will get the job done. I've cut out another piece of leather, contrasting leather, like the maroon leather, and this is going to sit inside the leather pouch just to give it an extra layer of protection and be used for the other uses that you can use around a campfire, like I previously explained. So the striker, I've finished that now, so as you can see it's dressed up, not too bad. Just a footnote, what I also choose to do, just let me I'm getting myself in a mess here. What I also choose to do is, after I've used the grinder to get the approximate profile for the 90-degree spine, I'll then use a oil stone, carbonundrum stone, tripping over myself there, and put a finishing draw file method 90-degree spine onto the back of that striker to make it almost sharp, as in, when I say almost sharp, to the point where you could cut with it. And for me, it's worth doing that for several reasons. Obviously you're going to get a better strike at your flint, so the flint is able to shave off real nice little particles off that sharp corner. And also you could use the actual scraper to, whether it be cedar bark or pine bark or something, birch bark, and use that basically to make create a tinder bundle. So it's worth doing that, in my opinion. Take your time with your strikers if you're going to make them, and make sure you get a real nice sharp 90-degree spine. It won't let you down. So that's the striker, bit of leather, and the pouch done. So I've got some of my 100% cotton material. This is actually the material, without giving away all my secrets. This is one piece of the material that I actually use to make my char cloth. It isn't cheap. I do buy it obviously bulk, but it isn't cheap and it is hard to find these days. So I've cut a piece of that off, and what I'm going to do is, basically I'm going to use a bit of gun oil on that rag cloth. And the reason is because you guys and lasses, wherever you may be shooters, hunters, you may not, it doesn't matter. But if you are, then you could cut this 100% cotton material into swabs and use that as a barrel cleaner, or just a general wipe down cleaning cloth, you know, for the barrel of your 12 bore, whatever it may be, air rifle in some cases over in the UK, to keep it corrosion free, keep it in good order, and or cut it into swabs, like I say, to draw through your barrel of your gun to keep the rifling clean. But also obviously that will stop your striker, or help stop it from corroding. Now the reason I've used the 100% cotton is pretty obvious. Once you've got your fire going, I'm a big believer in the next fire mentality. If you have a tin, and you should have, or some sort of container in my opinion, that you can then char some extra material from your initial fire, you've then got a sustainable fire which you can continue to do indefinitely. So whether it be, you know, charred punkwood, charred funguses, charred barks, you know the score. So that being said, that should keep the striker that I've just wrapped up in here nice and protected from the elements. quite oily, and if you do char this material, the oil, it just burns off, you know, it, well, evaporates off, whatever. It doesn't detriment, it's no detriment to the actual quality of the charred material that's left behind, so I would recommend that. So, rambling on. So what we've got is, we've got this kit, we've got the pouch to put it in, we've got the striker and the leather. All we need now is our flint pieces. End of subject then. Yeah. Okay, so just quickly, the flint that I add, or chert that I add into my fire kits, I try and get them as flat and as fracture sharp as I can. I get them from different sources, to be honest. So these particular pieces, these nodules, came from the Norfolk beach, that area of the UK. I do also find flint pieces generally if I'm out and about under fallen trees, you know, where the root stump has been exposed. That's a good place to look for flint or chert, as is riverbeds and the embankments of rivers and streams. Another little tip here is, if you can, especially on the beach or coast, you know, if you can find a piece of flint, a nodule like this with a divot in it, without taking too much of this stuff obviously, go get yourself one of those or a couple of those. I get this stuff once or twice a year when I'm away on holiday, so you know, it is what it is. Just let me, bear with me a minute, over here somewhere I have, if I can just get it, I've got one on a bit of a lanyard, and the reason being, they make brilliant hand drill sockets for your bow drill kit. So if ever you see a piece of flint, or any rock really, with a natural divot or hole in it, don't pass it up. You know, it's another useful resource to have in your kit. I digress. So basically what I do is, I take my nodule that starts out something like that, or if I'm finding it in the wild, it can just be a small piece of chert or flint that I found in an uprooted tree. Here is a nodule that I've already cracked open, and basically what I do is, wearing safety glasses of course, I cover my lap with a piece of leather or some good absorbent material, even a wool blanket that you've multi-layered. I'm a big advocate of wool blankets, but that's a subject for another day. And basically find a nice fracture point using a hard non-porous anvil stone. You can see I use this one quite frequently. Strike it with a conviction, let's say, until you break off the required amounts of shards of flint. So basically that's what I do with my flint and my chert and where to get it. So I'm just going to wrap this up now because this has gone on way too long, bored you all to death. So basically my mate from Plymouth Ferns, he's recently ordered some of my flint pieces, and I thought, and he did a request, where do I get a decent fire striker, an iron striker for my pieces of flint from? And I thought, well, he's been good enough to, you know, support me and give me a really good shout out, so I'm going to try and return the favour, mate. To all my viewers as well, please go and check his channel out. I'll put a link in the description box below, as always. Plymouth Ferns is a nice young man, and finding his way in bushcraft with a dopey dog, cute little dog, so it's worth watching for that, to be honest, especially if you're a dog lover. Happy days, cute little thing. Anyway, so I'm going to put this kit together now. Basically that's it, other than the only thing that I've omitted to show here is some charred material, which I will add before I post this out. So once this is done, mate, it will have some charred material in here as a complete kit. I'm sending that whole package out to you, mate. A big thank you to you, and to all my regular viewers. Excuse me, I'm sorry for being rude. I'm sorry it's been a long ass video, but there's no easy way of showing how you make a kit like this that, I'll be honest with you, can take several hours, you know, to produce in a short video. So hope you all understand. Thank you all very much for staying with me if you're still watching. And I understand if you don't, because you know, it's like having detention at school watching my videos. Anyway, have a great weekend out there, and I'll see you all soon, which won't be long. Hopefully the next video will be somewhat shorter than these, and take care. See you all soon. My dog's signing off. Yeah! Just one last PS. Thought I'd show you all the finished kit. loaded up, ready to go to Plymouth Fens. So little pouch that we've made, and inside I've added some of my natural jute twine that you can make your bird's nest out of to blow to flame. Good tinder that is. And then inside of there I've got a little packet with some of my charred jute netting in there. Works brilliantly with flint and iron. The striker itself, a couple of pieces of flint in there. So yet again, just to reiterate, thank you very much, mate, Plymouth Fens, for your recent support and goodwill wishes and your recent shout out. I really appreciate it. And this little kit is going to be winging its way to you ASAP. What we're on now, Saturday night, Sunday, something like that, by the time this video is posted. Saturday night, hopefully. So like I say, it's just a goodwill gesture, mate, to say thank you very much. Hope you find room for this in your kit. You know, it's always good to experiment with the old traditional ways. It's not perfect, but hopefully it will serve you well. And again, everybody else, all my other viewers, take care out there. Thank you all very much as always. Mad Dog signing off yet again. Yeah!